We are going to start with our first speaker tonight. This is Valarie Atwood, and she is our class of 2024, and she has a great presentation for us tonight.
Hi, welcome. Again, I'm from the class of 2024, and also since then have become a Blessed Tomorrow Climate Change Ambassador. So if you want to learn about that after the presentation. So before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to share some photos with you. And as you watch them, I want you to be mindful about how they make you feel and what qualities they portray. Here we go. So while you were watching the photos, maybe you felt a sense of awe, joy, respect, humility, love, reverence, peace, care, gratitude, and many others. When it comes to nature, many virtuous qualities can be stirred up within us. Personally, I've always felt a profound connection with nature, ever since I was a little girl spending hours and hours outdoors. So when a concept called spiritual or sacred ecology was mentioned in one of our unit videos, well, it immediately got my attention and I had to investigate. Spiritual or sacred ecology is an emerging field that intersects spirituality, religion, and ecology. I've often thought that it's this kind of interconnectedness that will help humanity get on the path to being better stewards of our planet. I mean, without feeling a meaningful connection, how can we truly care about something? Spiritual ecology explores the deep connections between spiritual beliefs and practices and the environment, focusing on how humanity's inner life influences and is influenced by ecological issues. I should add, you do not have to be part of a religion to experience or engage with spiritual ecology. While it often draws on religious traditions and spiritual practices, its core concepts can resonate with anyone who feels a deep connection to nature and a concern for the environment. Through various perspectives, including religious, non-religious, philosophical, or ethical views, spiritual ecology is about cultivating an attitude of care and respect for the environment, driven by an understanding of humanity's role within the broader ecosystem. Oriented by the principles of interconnectedness, sacredness of nature, awareness and mindfulness, integration of science and spirituality, stewardship and service, spiritual ecology practices rescue our awe for nature, primordial joy, connection, love, reciprocity, and quality of acting for something bigger than ourselves. After researching a countless number of quotes that express spiritual ecology principles, I picked just a few, and this is only a few, of my favorites to share. But ask the beasts, and they will teach you, the birds of the heavens, and they will tell you, or the bushes of the earth, and they will teach you. And the fish of the sea will declare to you, in his hand is the life of every living thing and the breath of all mankind. Christianity. Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. Albert Einstein. Keep close to nature's heart and break clear away once in a while and climb a mountain or spend a week in the woods. Wash your spirit clean. John Muir. Nature's beauty is an art of God. Let us feel the touch of God's invisible hands in everything beautiful. Hinduism. When we recognize the virtues, the talent, the beauty of Mother Earth, something is born in us, some kind of connection. Love is born. Buddhism. The world is beautiful and verdant, and verily God the Exalted has made you his stewards in it. Islam. Reflect upon the inner realities of the universe, the secret wisdoms involved, the enigmas, the interrelationships, the rules that govern all. For every part of the universe is connected with every other part by ties that are very powerful and admit of no imbalance, nor any slackening whatever. Baha'i faith. As I see it, we need the immense variety of the sources of joy opened through increased sensitivity toward the richness and diversity of life. Part of the joy stems from the consciousness of our intimate relation to something bigger than our own ego. The requisite care flows naturally if the self is widened and deepened so that protection of free nature is felt and conceived as protection of our very selves. Arne Naas. Okay, so now you know what spiritual ecology is. What are some ways to practice it to increase your interconnectedness? Take outdoor walks. Garden. Cook from scratch and be mindful of the process of how your food got to your table. Pray or meditate in nature. Listen to natural soundscapes. Sit spot. Pick an outdoor spot and return often to notice the patterns of nature. Look up and out. Get indoor plants. Watch wildlife cams. And know you belong. You are a part of nature. Your DNA proves it. If you'd like to dig deeper into spiritual ecology, there are several books, actually a few over there, on the subject, as well as numerous faith-based and secular groups to connect with. Feel free to ask me after the presentation. So I hope you've been inspired to find ways to connect deeper with nature, and I encourage you to practice your own spiritual ecology. Thank you.
Our next presentation is from Laura Schnell.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, kind of feel like a K-pop star with this on. Okay, so people often ask me where I'm from. I am ethnically ambiguous, but they want to know where. So then I say, well, okay, I was born in Colombia, but clearly I'm not there anymore. Or they'll say, okay, but so where do you live? Where did you grow up? Well, I grew up in New York. Okay, so are you from there? No, because then I grew up in Arizona as well. I went to high school there. Oh, okay, and then I went to Utah. I lived in Utah for 12 years, but I will not claim Utah as where I'm from. No way. So, and then in 2020, we moved here to Texas, and I don't say I'm from Texas, but right? But no offense, I'm not from Texas. I've just been here for 4 years. So where am I from? And I want you to think about this word place and what it means. So I've been thinking about this a lot, in particular, because when it comes to place, it has to do with conservation. Okay, how do I keep that from, am I good? Okay. Conservation and place and the relationship of those two things. Now, I listened to this podcast that had this incredible view on Mother Earth. So I kind of want you to follow along, and I'll read along what it said, okay? Planet Earth is about 4.6 billion years old. But instead of that large, unimaginable number, let's condense it to 46 years. Think of Earth as a 46-year-old woman. Nothing is known about the first 7 years of her life. We know something of the next 35 years, though, but not in detail. So, at the age of 42, the Earth began to flower. Algae, mosses, ferns, and forests. Then about a year ago, when she was 45, dinosaurs and the great reptiles emerged. Mammals arrived about 8 months ago. In the middle of last week, human-like apes developed into ape-like humans. And over the weekend, the last ice age enveloped the Earth. Modern humans have been around for about 4 hours. And during the last hour, we discovered agriculture. The Industrial Revolution began about a minute ago. So let that sink in for just a moment. Jane Banias, she coined the term biomimicry, which is the conscious emulation of life's genius. So the more I learn, not just from nature, but in nature, I wonder, what would she have to say about all this, about conservation, about ecology, about the environment? What would Mother Nature have to say? Could life's genius mentor us, given that we humans have been here for about 4 hours? So where do we start? I want to suggest we start with questions. The great Krista Tippett, who she's a podcaster, reporter, she asks incredible questions, thought-provoking questions. And she once said, we are so fixated on answers and solutions that we forget that questions change how we view our problems, not just as solutions, but how can we change our questions, shift our questions. So in the short time that I've spent really listening in nature, here are some questions that I'd like to invite you to ponder for yourselves. The first one is, can nature have a say in how she wants to heal? Can we shift our focus from saving the world to knowing the world a little better? What would nature do here? What would she not do here? Now I am from Colombia, I'm from the north, and in the north there are some indigenous groups, there's various, but there's one called the Kogis, and they are really, really tied to nature, I mean, every part of their religion. And I listened to this Kogi chief give a speech once, and he said, somebody asked him, well, hey, what's a solution? What can we do about environmentalism and deforestation? And he said, can I interrupt you? And this is a Kogi chief. Yes, you can interrupt anybody. And he said, you know what? The earth isn't sick. We're sick. Now, you can interpret that how you will. I had my own interpretations. But I'm wondering if perhaps with your own intuition and mine, the way it feels to me is that it's an invitation to think differently. It's an invitation to perhaps shift a little bit. What can we do becomes very overwhelming, although it is important. And so I want to suggest perhaps the question, who can we become instead? Because it's my conviction that when we turn inward and outwards to nature, conservation becomes more of a lifelong quest instead of a measurable goal that we get done. Now, here are a few questions and ideas to invite you into this conversation. We have been fragmented, I think, as humans, as cultures, as people, and with nature. And so this is a remembering of what we're trying to do here together. So what are some things that nature does that perhaps we can copy, that perhaps we can learn from? And I just have 4 ideas to share. If nature rewards cooperation, cooperates with each other, we see it all the time, who can we as humans cooperate with? Be it, our families, communities, social, educational groups. If nature rests when it needs to, we see it here all around. Where can we rest? Not as complacency, not as laziness, but perhaps as strategy. When I gave this talk, I was about 7.5 months pregnant. And I remember I was just like, and now I am 5 months postpartum. And let me tell you, I've never been more sleep deprived. And, but I'm trying to think, this is a sincere confrontation that I have. I love planet Earth, but what is the Earth telling me about rest and cycles? And that perhaps my time looks a little bit different than somebody else's right now. If nature relies heavily on diversity, how can we rely on our diversity as human beings? My husband and I had to go to the Apple store, nightmare. And I volunteer here at the herd with bird banding. And so I just finished banding gorgeous spring migrants. And here I am at the Apple store with hundreds of people. And I remember looking around and thinking, boy, we are just really not a lot to look at, are we? I mean, we're not, this is a painted bunting I'm holding in my hand and now I'm stuck. But then as I looked around, I tried to shift, I thought we are so diverse, not only physically, mentally, right? Intellectually, everything, educationally, religiously. That's gotta be a strength for us to get together with the earth and see what we can do and who we can become. If nature uses what it has available, what do we have available? What is available to her from us? One of my favorite things to do when we go to master naturalists, she has no idea I took this, is because naturalists are observers. I think that's just what we do. We stop and you take pictures and you look and you try to wonder. And I think that's a strength also that we could use. Now, if nature is not bothered by paradox, how can we not be bothered by the paradoxes in our lives? Now, here's an example. Have you noticed that when you see the beauty in nature, you also see maybe the violence? And what I mean by that is you see a hawk eating a bunny, and you're like, oh, that's nature, right? That's a paradox right there. Another one is you can't help, especially us as naturalists, when you're in a field or observing, you can't help but feel some grief, because you see how quickly we're encroaching on that. You can't help it, and that's a paradox. You can have both, 2 truths at the same time. But however, I think that ecological grief we feel, it has the power to amalgamate our desires to heal and our intentions to help in however way they can. And with grief and the expansion of love, Valarie did such a great job with love. Can love and conservation science go together, even though love is a flowery word? And I say that yes, it can. We had a little tiny mouse in our garage, and my husband lovingly had to end its life. And our daughter ran out, and she was in tears. She was so disturbed that this mouse died that she drew a sign that said "Daddy" with an X. And I thought, oh my goodness, and I tapped into that inner child, and I said, of course this hurts you. You love this being because you respect that it's alive. In my last class in 2024, one of our teachers talking about trees, he discussed the oak wilt and the oak trees. And he said the phrase, and it breaks my heart, And I thought, that's love. If that's not love, I don't know what is. And finally, we're brought back to place again. Okay, place. We all come from somewhere. We all do. Perhaps we aren't choosing where we're living right now. It's not our first choice. And yet, it's our choice to be part of the place where we are, if that makes sense. I feel like the prairie has truly welcomed me. I am not from here, but I will claim the prairie, because when I am here, I sense some belonging. And if you can talk to me after class, Darwin, and I have the resource for you, but Charles Darwin never said survival of the fittest. He said survival of the fittest to place. And that means when you're fit to place, you're fit to your community. And organisms don't just move to a place, they co-create that place. And then that place shapes them in return, just like we are. Thank you.
All right, our next presentation tonight is from Tina Burke.
So you can all hear me good. So I'm Tina Burke, and I'm going to talk about monarch and queen butterflies. This has been a passion in our family for 4, going on 5 years now. We're going to go over very briefly the life cycle. I know all y'all know it, so I'll be fast. Then nectar plants, host plants, what we use as enclosures, and then some other equipment and some cleaning processes if you choose to raise them. So here's the cycle. It starts with the butterfly laying an egg. The egg hatches, becomes a larva or caterpillar. Then that pupates, becomes a pupa or a chrysalis. It is not a cocoon. And then that will eclose, E-C-L-O-S-E, eclose into a butterfly. It does not hatch because it already hatched right there. So, oops. There we go. So the eggs are a creamy color, and they're typically on the underside of a leaf. If you went to harvest eggs, look for them out in nature. The butterfly will take its abdomen and just kind of curve it around and just lay those eggs on the underside. Predators can miss it because they're looking on the top side. And then when they hatch, they are caterpillars. So the monarch has 2 sets of filaments, and queen caterpillars have 3. And if you look closely, there's a little bit of red or rusty color right where they connect. And that is not on the monarch caterpillar. Do you want me to go back? Okay. And so here's some more caterpillars. These are inside. We raise the eggs in our house so we can keep a close eye on them, make sure humidity level's right, make sure they have fresh food. Then when they reach a certain size, we will move them outside into a protected enclosure. Okay, so when a caterpillar is getting ready to pupate, the queens and the monarchs will make this J formation. And when we first saw it, we thought, oh my gosh, they're dead, because they really look dead. They're limp, but they make a little silk nodule and connect to that and then hang in a J form. And then as you're seeing over here in the video, they will shed their skin for the last time, and it'll just split down the back, and they just wiggle and wiggle and wiggle. This is 4 times the speed. So, and then this is what forms. First it's long like this, and then it'll kind of start shrinking up, but it still has this weird indent thing there. And then overnight, we go out the next day, and it'll look like this. So it's just fascinating to watch. As a master naturalist, we don't really want to do this captivation. We want nature to take its course. But if you want to observe and be educated and just get the joy out of it, I think it's fine. So then chrysalises, let's talk about those for a minute. So these 2 are monarch. This one is getting ready to, what's the word? Perfect, eclose. This one is not. And then this is a queen. You'll notice the color is different. Queen chrysalises can be all different colors. They're like pink, tan, brown, green. It's just wild. You don't know what color they're going to end up being. But monarchs are always green. And so this is the only picture, by the way, that's not from our yard, taken by Ed or Dennis or myself. And it shows where the size difference between the monarch and then the two queens. So you can tell by just looking at a chrysalis, if it's green, you know, you can tell if it's a queen or not. Okay, so closing. So it starts looking like this, and it kind of gets filmy, so it gets clear, and you can see the monarch. And then it will pop out. It has this huge abdomen and these tiny little, you know, like tea leaf wings, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, something's wrong. No, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. So that abdomen just squeezes, and then the liquid or meconium in there will pump up the wings. I call it pumping up, but fill the wings, and then they'll get straight and bigger, and then they will straighten out and become full size. And here is one. We actually caught it when it was eclosing, which was just really exciting for our family. So we'll just take a minute and watch it. This is real time. Yeah, because it wasn't too long, I didn't think. And you can see it kind of gets clear here as the abdomen is kind of slowly popping out from there. It's working so hard. There, see, it's clear there. So it's almost out. Oh, there it goes. And just look at those tiny little wings, you know, it's great. Okay, so let's talk about gender for a minute and the difference between monarchs and queens. So the queens, Melanie actually taught me this. They have, oh, I'm hitting the wrong thing. There we go. They have white on the orange. So if you see the white on the orange, it kind of looks like a splatter white. That's a queen. You can at a glance see it. Monarchs don't have that. The females have this veining is thick. See how thick that black is? And then the males, it's very thin. Males have these little dots. So for the monarchs, they're pretty small. And they used to be scent glands or would put out pheromones, but evolution kind of got rid of that. But this is just kind of a hangover from that, a holdover from that. However, queens, you don't see the veining difference, but you see these, right? They're huge. Their scent glands are huge, and they actually produce pheromones or chemicals that attract the females. The fascinating thing to me is that the male queens have to have Greg's mistflower in order to produce that pheromone to attract the females. So it will take that nectar, divide it in half, you eat half of it to produce the pheromones, take the other half as a package or a present that it will give to the female when they mate. So it's like, read up on it. It's really fascinating. So why you should do Greg's mistflower, this is why. Okay, so if you wanted to raise these at home and experience the joy that our family has enjoyed, the things you need to do are nectar plants and host plants. As master naturalists, we should all be doing that. And then enclosures and then cleaning supplies. So this is a picture of ours, one of the first ones. So nectar plants. I do a lot of zinnias. They're not natives. That's the only exception I make is zinnias because they do provide nectar and it still complements all the other native plants that we have. We are kind of phasing them out and going more native. But there's the Greg's mistflower here. And look, there's a male queen on it. Surprise. And then here's some more zinnias. We had tons of pollinators on our zinnias. And then this is Greg's mistflower again, I think. So this is Cowpen daisy or golden crownbeard. And I don't know the Latin name, sorry. It is a wonderful native plant that will bloom all summer long. It starts in the spring, it goes through the fall. We have one on our back porch and we just see all kinds of pollinators visit that. It's fantastic. And then this is Copper Canyon Daisy. I love this one because it is a late bloomer. You have to have the nectar plants for the whole year, right? So in November and December, nothing else is blooming, but this is blooming. It's Copper Canyon Daisy. That's when it blooms. It'll be green all year long, no flowers, and then all of a sudden, boom, covered. And the fauna, the leaves smell wonderful. You just touch them and the scent is incredible. And then is my favorite, frostweed. So the frostweed, when it blooms, it's a sign that the monarchs are coming or the monarchs are there. They're doing their migration. They need a ton of this nectar to make their way down to Mexico. So you'll see like the largest monarchs you've ever seen, you know, because they're the migrating ones. And it's just fascinating. So it's one of my favorite plants. I have some seeds, first come, first serve, afterwards. What is not a good nectar plant, and I'm passionate about this because of my children. I bought one because it was beautiful. I bought it at, what's that nursery we go to? Covington's in Rowlett. That's how far away. Brought it home. Look how beautiful this is. Ed made me turn around and take it back that day. She's like, that is not in our yard. It's bad for our ecosystem. So it's bad because it takes the place, right? It's taking the place of where we could have native plants. It's like feeding Skittles to a 2-year-old. Are you just going to feed them a bunch of Skittles and they're going to be happy and they're going to love it? They're going to eat it all up, but it doesn't really do anything for them. So they need the nectar from our native plants. It will pollinate our native plants. It just is in the whole cycle. So when you have things like this, it takes away from that important ecological cycle. And each of those spikes, 40,000 seeds, each spike. And they've done studies, and the germination rate can be 80%. Seeds can be viable for 3 to 5 years. So you're just spreading all this Skittles when you could have native plants. So just do your natives. Okay, I'll get off that soapbox. Host plants, native milkweeds. We have swamp milkweed. That's probably our biggest. It is big, but I mean that's in our beds. That's what we have the most of. And then we have butterfly weed. It's more of a little bush, and we have that. And then we have green milkweed and antelope horn, green antelope horn. These two are new to us this year because of Master Naturalist, so thank you. I learned about those. What we don't have is tropical milkweed, so I'm going to get on the soapbox again. Why do we not want tropical milkweed? I think a big part is right here. When monarchs are reared on tropical milkweed, they're less likely to enter that reproductive diapause. So when you see those big monarchs that are coming through, they should not be stopping to lay eggs and have babies in November, you know, October, November. They need to get on down to Mexico. So tropical milkweed confuses them. And let's see, oops. I'm probably preaching to the choir, but also OE is a bacteria that kills the monarchs and the queens, and it seems to be most prevalent on the tropical milkweed, probably because it just lasts forever. It doesn't die off. Our milkweed, as you all know, like, you know, come the end of summer, it just turns brown and nasty, and there's no milkweed. Yeah, that's enough of that. Okay, and then the equipment that I use, that we use. This is my favorite butterfly cage. It is 2-ply as a mesh. It is totally enclosed. There's no hole in the bottom to put your laundry in, for example. So, and there's parasitic wasps that will sting or lay their eggs in the caterpillars. So if you just have one layer, they can still get through, but the double layer kind of prevents that from happening. We haven't had that happen. And we have seen the parasitic wasps in our yard. So I know we have them. Let's see. So we have these, and again, like the eggs and the tiny first couple instars we raise inside, and then we put them outside in these enclosures. I protect them from the sun. Like this one has a little sun on it, so I put a little t-shirt to protect it from direct sun. And then lastly, the other supplies, I'm calling it a frass vacuum. You might call it a keyboard vacuum, but it works great for sucking up that frass. I like to use, I just found, I don't know how I ended up using this, but it works wonderfully, so that's all I use now. But they're deviled egg containers, like the plastic Tupperware, you get at Walmart. And the frass will just collect in the little divot. And then usually the caterpillars are not in the divots, they're like crawling around, so they're not in their frass. And then this fits perfectly in that little divot and sucks up all the frass. So it works great. And when I serve deviled eggs, I use a different one. I do. But also it's easy to bleach, because you want to bleach, you're going to bleach everything. After you do a generation or whatever, you're going to bleach everything with bleach water and clean it and get rid of any bacteria that might have been there. Yep. And I think that's it. Our yard is a certified Monarch waste station. Yay.
All right, our last speaker this evening is another class of 2024, Newsha Jahansouzi.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here, and it's so hard to go after all these wonderful speakers. So I try my best not to put you to sleep. So my name is Newsha, and I'm the MTO Sustainability Coordinator in North Texas. And one of the things we were able to accomplish at MTO was to get an Arboretum accredited by a national institution. So I will go through some pictures, give you a little bit of background on what MTO is, and then show you what we have been doing at the center. So on September 30th, 2022, we were accredited, the status of an accredited Arboretum by ARPANET. And the Honorable Mayor, Jeff Cheney, was at the ceremony, at the ribbon cutting ceremony, and we received a proclamation from Susan Fletcher. She's the commissioner of Collin County. And because this is new to Frisco and Collin County, there has never been an accredited Arboretum in our area, and we're super proud to have that. So MTO, you may want to know what MTO stands for. MTO is Maktab Tairat Ovesi Sharmarsudi, it's a school of Islamic Sufism. And I'm going to give you a quick background on this so you understand why all this came together. So MTO has many arms, such as the charity chapter, the interfaith chapter, meditation chapters, the American Friends of Sufi Arts, Culture, and Knowledge, and we're very much into sustainability. And for that reason, we focus on achieving our key sustainability goals that we want to achieve by 2015, according to the United Nations SDGs. One of the goals is to have affordable clean energy, which we try to achieve by installing roof solar panels on the parking area that we have a responsible production and consumption. That's one of the SDG goals, which we try to get that done by getting our building LEED certified. LEED stands for Leadership, Energy, and Environmental Design. And to be effective, another way we try to do that is by building a water well in the area that we have our arboretum to efficiently irrigate our trees and bushes and everything we have. And we also created a composting area where, we reroute our landscape debris from getting to landfills, and we produce our own soil. And I have some pictures that I can show you guys in a minute. So we're super proud to eliminate single plastic use from items from our center and use just filtered water rather than purchasing bottles. And in particular, we're dedicated to fostering meaningful changes and advancing sustainability development goals with partnering with like-minded organizations. So MTO here in Dallas, as I said, has established this arboretum, and we're super proud to be able to share that with the community. If people like to just have a place to hang out, look at different diverse trees and woody plants, it's available to the public. I'm going to go over this that shows the land that was purchased in 2000 was really, it had no vegetation. And by 2008, when you see in the middle of that picture, we had the building established already and some trees planted. Now, a little bit fast forward, here you see more vegetation and trees, lots more here, and now it's an arboretum. So we were able to turn a bare land into a place where a lot of love was put in. And here are the SDG goals that are set by the United Nations, and we're trying to follow some of these. This is the accreditation of the Arboretum. And just like Tina, we love the monarchs, and we try to, yes, we're doing our best to have this monarch way station. I'll show you some pictures later on too, and I hope one day you can come and help us get some more stuff done. Just being out there, we've seen so much wildlife, and since we don't use any chemicals and no pesticides, we welcome all the wildlife around us, and we qualified for the wildlife habitat certification as well. And I encourage everybody to look into that. It's lovely to have. Here I'm going to show you a few trees that we have at the Arboretum, the common cottonwood. And I have to say, before I met the Texas Master Naturalist, I did not know there are so many invasive plants and trees. So you will see a lot of native trees, a lot of invasive trees as well. So we're working towards cleaning up a little bit, but it's hard because a lot of our folks put some of these trees with love, and it's just hard to tell them, hey, this mimosa tree shouldn't be here. And why? It's beautiful, it's blooming, it's so pretty. Yeah, let's see. Here, the pomegranate tree, for example, it's beautiful. And class of 2025, you will love the iNat app. It helps you so much to identify whatever you see and you have no idea what it is. So I use the app to identify a lot of the trees. I try to remember a lot of stuff that Rick and Lisa taught me about the trees, but the iNat is great to have always on your phone. Here, the Texas live oak is one of the trees that we have plenty of at the Arboretum. Taylor junipers, we started planting Taylor junipers because the people at MTO love these like tall trees. And so the tall trees are the Italian cypresses, and they are not necessarily in the best habitat here in Texas. So we learned that the hard way. A lot of them just are dying. And so we have to replace them. So we tried the Taylor junipers, and hopefully they'll, replace them. And yeah, we have a lot of these Italian cypresses. The Chinese case tree, which it's a beautiful tree. We have some of them here. and the magnolias. We love the magnolias. They bloom beautifully at the Arboretum. We have dwarf magnolias and these, and the American Holy. Eastern red cedar, I don't know what happened, but Rick, maybe you have to help us out. Some of them are going south. So I don't know what's happening with them, but we need to identify the issues that we have with them. The desert willow, beautiful tree that we have there, and I'll skip this one, the Chinese elm. Okay. And the Chinese pistachio. Wait. Hold on. What happened here? Hold on. There you go. Our Chinese elm. I know, I'm so sorry we have one. Oh, there you go. Here, the favorite mimosa tree. And yeah. Crab myrtles, they're beautiful too, but hopefully we won't plant more of them. Now, we had, before we started, hold on, what is happening? Okay, so when we first started being more conscious and aware of what we're doing at the MTO Center, I think I turned it off, did I? Are we good? Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay. So Juliana Marie, she was with the City of Frisco Environmental Division, and she just recently moved, but she came to our center and taught us about the science of composting. And so we started composting our kitchen waste, and before we would always have our landscape debris be sent out to landfills, but it was a lot. It's an 8-acre land. So we thought, okay, what can we do? So we got a little bit of this knowledge that she brought into our center and developed our composting section here. And so 3 years later, now we were able to put a system together that helps us compost, and we don't mess up and add new stuff to the old that's already curing. So 2.5 years later, you see on the right side, that's the soil we have. And I don't know how many tons of waste we diverted from the landfills. And so we're super proud. We're using our own soil. We don't have to purchase new soil. So everything we get from the trees and from the leaves and the grass clippings, we actually compost it and put it back into the same land that we got it from. And here, some of our volunteers that are working on the Monarch waste station. And so this picture we have here is from this year. So we have some monarchs stopping by. Very exciting. Texas Stream Team. I don't know if Crystal is here today. Is Crystal here? Okay, so she's also with the City of Frisco, and I love her so much. If it wasn't for her, I would have never met Rick and Lisa, and I would have never been here. And I would have never met this wonderful people, like-minded people that I've come to know over this past year. So she actually gave us the training and led through the certification to be a part of the Texas Stream Team. And so, and this is us working. There's a creek that goes through the MTO Center, and this is us doing the water testing. And we have a little friend here that we met, and he always watches us carefully. And he took some trees down too. So, but that's fine. We share our habitat with him too. So, is Brian back here tonight? No. Another wonderful Texas master naturalist. He actually came to our center and he helped us put this program together for our teenagers and juniors, which really we're just doing it once every quarter. It's hard to get kids and teenagers away from their computers. But he came and he taught them so much about sustainability and why we do things the way we do and why we have to be careful with consumption, the 5 R's, refuse, reuse, repurpose, recycle. So he taught them all about that. And I don't know how he did that. For an hour, the kids didn't move, they didn't breathe. They were just watching and listening to him. So he's amazing. I'm so thankful for his help and support. Texas Arbor Day, these are some of the Taylor junipers we planted and a few other trees, but we're always excited when we get new trees. But the soil, it's just so hard to plant things in Frisco.